Buddy, Jack is actually here right now. He's been missing for a lot of our last readings. So there he is. There's the handsome snack. This is one of his new Christmas presents, and he is a little bit obsessed. You have eye junkie. Handsome boys don't have eye junkie. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, friends. Boop, 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 boop. So we are going to be reading in Psalms today. And hopefully Jack will stick around back there. Oh, I almost knocked this thing off. It does not like me when I turn it. So sorry about that. Okay. All right. Maybe I should not have done that. Okay. So hopefully Jack will stick around back there, and we are going to start reading in Psalms. We don't have very much to read today, which is good. So we're going to just try to get through it as fast as we can, because as usual, we're getting behind again. Well, here, let me have it. All right, so we are starting in Psalm 3. We're supposed to read Psalms 3 to 4. So that's where I'm going to start, and I'm going to just keep throwing the toy for Jack as he places it. You can't get it stuck under the chair. Hold on. All right, Psalm 3. O Lord, I have so many enemies, so many are against me. So many are saying, God will never rescue him. But you, O Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. I cried out to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy mountainside. I lay down and slept and woke up in safety, for the Lord was watching over me. I am not afraid of 10,000 enemies who surround me on every side. Arise, O Lord, rescue me, my God. Slap all my enemies in the face and shatter the teeth of the wicked. Wow. Victory comes from you, O Lord. May your blessings rest on your people. Answer me when I call, O God, who declares me innocent. Take away my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. How long will you people ruin my reputation? How long will you make these groundless accusations? How long will you pursue lies? You can be sure of this. The Lord has set apart the godly for himself. The Lord will answer when I call to him. Don't sin by letting anger gain control over you. Think about it overnight and remain silent. Offer proper sacrifices and trust in the Lord. Many people say, who will show us better times? Let the smile on your face shine on us, Lord. You've given me greater joy than those who have abundant harvests of grain and wine. I will lay down in peace and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, will keep me safe. Don't sin by letting anger gain control over you. You know, it's so interesting. We had a situation happen recently when we had to move that was shitty. Honestly, it was a really shitty situation. And I'm still mad about it, like angry about it. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they had something like that happen to them, and the woman said, oh, I'm mad. And I was like, I'm mad too. And both of our husbands were like, why? Like, what's the point? But we were holding on to that anger. And that's just so interesting that letting anger gain control over you is considered a sin. Think about it overnight and remain silent. Yeah, I'm not good at being silent either. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to go to Psalms 12 to 13. Like how I read that as interesting and then moved on. Oh, so I'm doing something wrong. Interesting. Let's move on to chapter 12. That shouldn't be funny. Okay. Help, O Lord, for the godly are fast disappearing. The faithful have vanished from the earth. Neighbors lie to each other, speaking with flattering lips and insincere hearts. May the Lord bring their flattery to an end and silence their proud tongues. They say, we lie to our heart's content. Our lips are our own. Who can stop us? The Lord replies, I've seen violence done to the helpless, and I've heard the groans of the poor. Now I will rise up to rescue them as they have longed for me to do. The Lord's promises are pure, like silver refined in a furnace, purified 7 times over. Therefore, Lord, we know you will protect the oppressed, preserving them forever from this lying generation, even though the wicked strut about and evil is praised throughout the land. Jack's gone. 13. O Lord, how long will you forget me? Forever? How long will you look the other way? How long must I struggle with anguish in my soul, with sorrow in my heart every day? How long will my enemy have the upper hand? Turn and answer me, O Lord my God. Restore the light to my eyes, or I will die. Don't let my enemies gloat, saying, we have defeated him. Don't let them rejoice at my downfall. But I trust in your unfailing love, and I will rejoice because you have rescued me. I will sing to the Lord because he has been so good to me. Okay. Now chapter 28. Oh, you're back. Did you just get a different toy? Here. You can't go underneath. This chair has a bar, like it's like a makeup chair for my business. So it has a bar underneath it, and he keeps losing toys under the bar that he can't get them. All right, chapter 28. O Lord, you are my rock of safety. Please help me. Don't refuse to answer me. For if you are silent, I may as well give up and die. Listen to my prayer for mercy as I cry out to you for help, as I lift my hands towards your holy sanctuary. Don't drag me away with the wicked, with those who do evil, those who speak friendly words to their neighbors while planning evil in their hearts. Give them the punishment they so richly deserve, and measure it out in proportion to their wickedness. Pay them back for all their evil deeds, and give them a taste of what they have done to others. They care nothing for what the Lord has done or what his hands have made, so he will tear them down like old buildings, and they'll never be rebuilt. Praise the Lord, for he's heard my cry for mercy. The Lord is my strength, my shield from every danger. I trust in him with all my heart. He helps me, and my heart is filled with joy, and I burst out in songs of thanksgiving. The Lord protects his people and gives victory to his anointed king. Save your people. Bless Israel, your special possession, and lead them like a shepherd and carry them forever in your arms. Jack. Kid, watch my finger, bro. All right, 55 is the last one we're reading in Psalms. Chapter 55. Listen to my prayers, O God. Do not ignore my cry for help. Please listen and answer me, for I am overwhelmed by my troubles. My enemies shout at me, making loud and wicked threats. They bring trouble on me, hunting me down in their anger. My heart is in anguish, and the terror of death overpowers me. Fear and trembling overwhelm me, and I can't stop shaking. Oh, how I wish I had wings like a dove, and then I would fly away and rest. I would fly far away to the quiet of the wilderness, and how quickly I would escape, far away from this wild storm of hatred. Destroy them, Lord, and confuse their speech, for I see violence and strife in the city. Their walls are patrolled day and night against invaders, but the real danger is wickedness within the city. Murder and robbery are everywhere. Here, threats and cheating are rampant in the streets. It's not an enemy who taunts me. I could bear that. It's not my foes who so arrogantly insult me. I could have hidden from them. Instead, it is you, my equal, my companion, and my close friend. What good fellowship we enjoy as we walk together in the house of God. Let death seize my enemies by surprise. Let the grave swallow them alive, for evil makes its home within them. But I will call on God, and the Lord will rescue me. Morning, noon, and night, I plead aloud in my distress, and the Lord hears my voice. He rescues me and keeps me safe from the battle waged against me, even though many still oppose me. God, who is king forever, will hear me and will humble them. For my enemies refuse to change their ways, and they do not fear God. As for this friend of mine, he betrayed me, he broke his promises. His words are as smooth as cream, but in his heart is war. His words are as soothing as lotion, but underneath is daggers. Give your burdens to the Lord, and he will take care of you. He will not permit the godly to slip and fall. But you, O God, will send the wicked down to the pit of destruction, and murderers and liars will die young, but I am trusting you to save me. Wow. Okay, so now 2 Samuel 16 to 18 is what we're reading for today. And remember, we were talking about David's son had waged war on him, so David left because after he slept with Bathsheba, the guy said, your family's going to turn against you, and then they totally did. It was crazy. Okay, so 2 Samuel chapter 16 is called David and Ziba. I don't know who Ziba is. We're going to find out. David was just past the top of the hill when Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, caught up with him. He was leading 2 donkeys loaded with 200 loaves of bread, 100 clusters of raisins, 100 bunches of summer fruit, and a skin of wine. What are these for? The king asked Ziba. And Ziba replied, the donkeys are for your people to ride on. The bread and summer fruit are for the young men to eat. The wine is to be taken with you into the wilderness for those who become faint. And where is Mephibosheth? The king asked him. He stayed in Jerusalem, Ziba replied. Today I will get back to the kingdom of my grandfather Saul. In that case, the king told Ziba, I give you everything Mephibosheth owns. Thank you, sir, Ziba said. I will always do whatever it is that you want me to do. As David and his party passed Barum, a man came out of the village cursing them. It was Shimei, son of Gera, a member of Saul's family. He threw stones at the king and the king's officers and all the mighty warriors who surrounded them. Get out of here, you murderer, you scoundrel, he shouted at David. The Lord is paying you back for murdering Saul and his family. You stole the throne, and now the Lord has given it to your son Absalom. At least you will taste your own medicine, you murderer. Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Abishai, son of Zeruiah, demanded. Let me go over and cut off his head. No, the king said. What am I going to do with you, sons of Zeruiah? If the Lord has told him to curse me, who am I to stop him? Then David said to Abishai and the other officers, my own son is trying to kill me. Shouldn't this relative of Saul have even more reason to do so? Leave him alone and let him curse, for the Lord has told him to do it, and perhaps the Lord will see that I am being wronged and will bless me because of these curses." So David and his men continued on, and Shimei kept pace with them on a nearby hillside, cursing as he went and throwing stones at David and tossing dust into the air. So he just followed him, throwing rocks at him and cursing him. The king and all who were with him grew weary along the way, so they rested when they reached the Jordan. Meanwhile, Absalom and his men arrived at Jerusalem, accompanied by Ahithophel. When David's friend Hushai the Archite arrived, he went immediately to see Absalom. "Long live the king," he exclaimed. "Long live the king." "Is this the way you treat your friend David?" Absalom asked him. "Why aren't you with him?" "I'm here because I work for the man who is chosen by the Lord and by Israel," Hushai replied. "And anyway, why shouldn't I serve you? I helped your father, and now I will help you." Then Absalom turned to Ahithophel and asked him, "What should I do next?" Ahithophel told him, "Go and sleep with your father's concubines, for he has left them here to keep the house. Then all of Israel will know that you've insulted him beyond hope of reconciliation, and they will give you their support." So they set up a tent on the palace roof where everyone could see it, and Absalom went into the tent to sleep with his father's concubines. They set up a tent on the roof, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be back. I'm just going to go sleep with these girls that used to be my father's." What? Absalom followed Ahithophel's advice just as David had done, and for every word he spoke, it seemed wise as though it had come directly from the mouth of David. That's crazy. Now, I'm just going to remind you, when Nathan rebukes David in chapter 12, it literally says this, chapter 12, verse 11. "Because of what you have done, I, the Lord, will cause your household to rebel against you, Absalom. I will give your wives to another man," in a tent on the roof, "and he will go to bed with them in all of public view. You did it secretly, but I will do this to you openly in the sight of all of Israel." Dude just slept with concubines on the roof. Just saying. Now Ahithophel urged Absalom, "Let me choose 12,000 men to start out after David tonight. I will catch up with him while he's weary and discouraged, and he and his troops will panic, and everyone will run away. And then I will kill only the king, and I will bring all the people back to you as a bride returns to her husband. After all, it is only this man's life that you seek. Then all the people will remain unharmed and peaceful." This plan seemed good to Absalom. But then Absalom said, "Bring in Hushai the Archite. Let's see what he thinks about this." When Hushai arrived, Absalom told him what Ahithophel had said, and he asked, "What is your opinion? Should we follow Ahithophel's advice? If not, speak up." "Well," Hushai replied, "this time I think Ahithophel has made a mistake. You know your father and his men, they're mighty warriors. Right now they're probably as enraged as a mother bear who's been robbed of her cubs. And remember that your father is an experienced soldier. He won't be spending the night among the troops. He's probably already hidden in some pit or cave. And when he comes out and attacks and a few of your men fall, there'll be panic among your troops and everyone will start shouting that your men are being slaughtered. Then even the bravest of them, though they have the heart of a lion, will be paralyzed with fear. For all of Israel knows what a mighty man your father is and how courageous his warriors are. I suggest that you mobilize the entire army of Israel, bringing them as far away as Dan and Beersheba. That way you'll have an army as numerous as the sand on the seashore. And I think you should personally lead the troops. When we find David, we can descend on him like the dew that falls to the ground, so that not one of his men is left alive. And if David has escaped into some city, then you'll have the entire army of Israel there at your command. Then we can take ropes and drag the walls of the city into the nearest valley until every stone is torn down." Then Absalom and all the leaders said, "Hushai's advice is better than Ahithophel's." So the Lord arranged to defeat the council at Ahithophel, which really was a better plan, so that he could bring disaster upon Absalom. Then Hushai reports to Zadok and Abiathar the priests what Ahithophel had said and what he himself had suggested. "Quick," he told them, "find David and urge him not to stay at the shallows of the Jordan River tonight. He must go at once across to the wilderness beyond, otherwise he will die and his entire army with him." Jonathan and Ahimaaz had been staying at En-Rogel as so not to be seen entering and leaving the city. Arrangements had been made for a servant girl to bring them the message they were to take to King David. But a boy saw them leaving En-Rogel to go to David and told Absalom about it. Meanwhile, they escaped to Barum, where a man hid them inside a well in his courtyard. The man's wife put a cloth over the top of the well with grain on it to dry in the sun, so no one suspected they were there. When Absalom's men arrived, they asked her, "Have you seen Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" And she replied, "They were here, but they crossed the brook." Absalom's men looked for them without success and returned to Jerusalem. Sorry, Jack. When the two men crawled out of the well and hurried on to King David, "Quick," they told him, "cross the Jordan tonight." And they told him how Ahithophel had advised that he be captured and killed. So David and all the people with him went across the Jordan River during the night, and they were all on the other bank before dawn. Meanwhile, Ahithophel was publicly disgraced when Absalom refused his advice. So he saddled his donkey, went to his hometown, set his affairs in order, and hanged himself. What? Because this guy refused his advice, he saddled his donkey, went to his hometown, and hung himself. That is messed up. David soon arrived at Mahanaim. By now, Absalom had mobilized the entire army of Israel and was leading his troops across the Jordan River. He had appointed Amasa as commander of his army, replacing Joab, who had been commander under David. Amasa was Joab's cousin, and his father was Jether the Ishmaelite. His mother, Abigail, was the daughter of Nahash, the sister of Joab's mother, Zeruiah. Absalom and the Israelite army set up camp in the land of Gilead. And when David arrived at Mahanaim, he was warmly greeted by Shobi son of Nahash of Rabbah, an Ammonite, and Machir son of Amiel of Lodebar, and by Barzillai of Gilead from Rogelim. They brought sleeping mats, cooking pots, serving bowls, wheat and barley flour, roasted grains, beans, lentils, honey, butter, sheep, and cheese for David and those who were with him. For they said, "You must be very tired and hungry and thirsty after your long march through the wilderness." Okay, so we are supposed to read, chapter 18 is our last chapter. All right, let's do it. This is our last one. David now appointed generals and captains to lead his troops. 1/3 were placed under Joab, and 1/3 under Joab's brother Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, and 1/3 under Ittai the Gittite. The king told his troops, "I am going out with you." But his men objected strongly. "You must not go," they urged. "If we have to turn and run, or even if half of us die, it'll make no difference to Absalom's troops. They'll be looking only for you. You are worth 10,000 of us, and it is better that you stay here in the city and send us help if we need it." "If you think that's the best plan, I'll do it," the king finally agreed. So he stood at the gate of the city, as all the divisions of troops passed by, and the king gave this command to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai: "For my sake, deal gently with young Absalom." All the troops heard the king give this order to his commanders. So the battle began in the forest of Ephraim, and the Israelite troops were beaten back by David's men. There was a great slaughter, and 20,000 men laid down their lives that day. The battle raged all across the countryside, and more men died because of the forest than were killed by the sword. What happens in that forest? During the battle, Absalom came unexpectedly upon some of David's men. He tried to escape on his mule, but as he rode beneath the thick branches of a great oak, his head got caught. He rode his horse under a tree, and as he rode beneath the branches, his head got caught. So he legit got hung because he rode under the branches. His mule kept going and left him dangling in the air. One of David's men saw what happened and told Joab, "I saw Absalom dangling in a tree." "What?" Joab demanded. "You saw him there and didn't kill him? I would have rewarded you with 10 pieces of silver and a hero's belt." "I wouldn't do it for 1,000 pieces of silver," the man replied. "We all heard the king say to you and Abishai and Ittai, 'For my sake, please don't harm young Absalom.' And if I had betrayed the king by killing his son, the king would certainly find out who did it, and you yourself would be the first to abandon me." "Enough of this nonsense," Joab said. Then he took 3 daggers and plunged them into Absalom's heart as he dangled from the oak tree, still alive. Okay, so he was just hanging by his neck. He wasn't actually dead yet. Now, 3 daggers in the heart he is. 1 was not enough. He needed 3 daggers in the heart. 10 of Joab's young armor-bearers then surrounded him and killed him. Wait, so he's dangling from a tree and he has 3 daggers in his heart, and then 10 of the armor-bearers surrounded him and killed him. How did they kill him if the daggers in the tree didn't? Then Joab blew the trumpet, and the men returned from chasing the army of Israel. They threw his body into a deep pit in the forest and piled a great heap of stones over it. Then the army of Israel fled to their homes. During his lifetime, Absalom had built a monument to himself in the king's valley, for he said, "I have no son to carry on my name." He named the monument after himself, and it is known as Absalom's monument to this day. Then Zadok, son Ahimaaz, said, "Let me run to the king with the good news that the Lord has saved him from his enemy Absalom." "No," Joab told him, "it would not be good news to the king that his son is dead. You can be my messenger some other time, but not today." And Joab said to a man from Cush, "Go and tell the king what you've seen." And the man bowed and ran off. But Ahimaaz continued to plead with Joab, "Whatever happens, please let me go too." "Why should you go, my son?" Joab replied. "There will be no reward for you." "Yes, but let me go anyway," he begged. Joab finally said, "All right, go ahead." And Ahimaaz took a shortcut across the plain of Jordan and got to Mahanaim ahead of the man from Cush. While David was sitting at the city gate, the watchman climbed to the roof of the gate by the wall. As he looked, he saw a lone man running towards them. He shouted the news to David, and the king replied, "If he is alone, he has news." As the messenger came closer, the watchman saw another man running towards them, and he shouted down, "Here comes another one." The king replied, "He also will have some news." "The first man runs like Ahimaaz, son of Zadok," the watchman said. "He is a good man and comes with good news," the king replied. Then Ahimaaz cried out to the king, "All is well." He bowed low with his face to the ground and said, "Blessed be the Lord your God, who has handed over the rebels who dared to stand against you." "What about young Absalom?" the king demanded. "Is he all right?" Ahimaaz replied, "When Joab told me to come, there was a lot of commotion, but I didn't know what was happening." "Wait here," the king told him. So Ahimaaz stepped aside. Then the man from Cush arrived and said, I have good news for my lord and king. Today the Lord has rescued you from all those who rebelled against you." "What about young Absalom?" the king demanded. "Is he all right?" And the Cushite replied, "May all of your enemies, both now and in the future, be as that young man is." The king was overcome with emotion. He went up to his room over the gateway and burst into tears. And as he went, he cried, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I could have died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." Okay, well, no, thank you so much for being here. We are actually done with that chapter for today, so you made it. That was a crazy story and really interesting that David still cried when his son died. Like, this guy just chased him out and tried to take everything that he had, and he was still really sad about it. That's a good example of parenting. All right, so sorry I have not been looking at this. I did not notice that you guys were talking to me. I apologize. I hope that you had a great time listening to that story today. It was an interesting one. Thank you for being here with me. It makes it a lot easier to read when you're here. I appreciate you. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we should be back tomorrow to continue the story and figure out what happens to David. So that's crazy that if you go back, everything that Nathan said happened. It's really interesting. So let me know how you feel about it. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.